I'm a descendant of one of the very first Africans who was recorded in what would eventually become U.S. history. Hi, my name is Cornelius, and I'm passionate about people knowing their family history. That's why I'm sharing a little bit about mine to honor my ancestors, but also inspire you to dig into yours. Now, if you trace my father's side all the way back, you find a man named John Gowan who lived in 1600s Virginia. You can look him up because he's actually in the colonial court records. He filed a lawsuit to gain the freedom of his son that was born to an enslaved woman. That was in 1641. That makes him one of the earliest documented Africans in English America securing freedom for someone who was enslaved. John lived at a time in this country, well, the colonies, before the strict racist laws were on the books. So he lived his life pretty much as a free man. He was able to move wherever he wanted. He was able to be with whoever he wanted. And as we saw, he was able to file a lawsuit in court. Now, his descendants, and the last name changes a little bit. It goes from Gowan, Goins, Gibson. Historians tell us that all of these people eventually spread throughout the Carolinas, and they became part of this community known as Melungeon. In short, Melungeon communities consist of people who have ancestry that are African, European, and Native. They primarily lived in the Appalachian region long before the Civil War. John is one of my 11th great-grandfathers, so there's about 13 generations in between us. In DNA terms, I could possibly carry about 1/8,000th or 0.00125% of his DNA, so more than likely I do not carry any of that, but his legacy definitely lives on in me. Now, this is Tobias Goins. He is a descendant of John. He is my second great-grandfather, my grandfather, George's grandfather. And as you can tell, he does not look like a black man. But everything I've learned and been led to believe shows me that he identified as black, his kids identified as black, and he died a black man. Now, we know that he was born in North Carolina, so of course I think that he was a part of the Melungeon community. But by the time he moved first to Tennessee and then to Kentucky and eventually up to Gary, Indiana, like he had left all of that behind, like he did not identify in the Census Bureau as Melungeon. And I think this is why I'm making this video, because the first video I made, most people were nice and normal in the comments, but several people wanted me to identify with Native American ancestry, and that's just not who I am. I can, of course, acknowledge my Native ancestry. I have one ancestor who popped up as Melungeon on Ancestry.com, but to claim it would be weird. Funny enough, I just met someone last week, actually, who is 1/16th Native. So close to that, his grandmother made them go back to the reservation where her people were during the winter months and bring them food and coats and different things like that. But he is a white man, and he would never identify as Native. So if someone that close to Native ancestry refuses to do it, why would I ever do it? Now, I get it. There is a lot of family lore and history for both black and white people about their great-great-grandmother who was full-blooded Cherokee. We've all heard it. Also, there are so many more tribes in Cherokee. Anyway, I get that people would have a hard time accepting that. Perhaps not. Perhaps your great-great-grandmother was just mixed. In fact, I know someone who is in her 80s now, and she tans really well, always tanned really well in the summer. And she talked about her grandmother who was Indian. But her grandson, who I had a relationship with, did a DNA test. And guess what popped up in his DNA? African. Guess what did not pop up in his DNA? Native American. So there you go. A lot of people who claim to have Native history are essentially just black and white. But keep on claiming that your great-grandmother is Cherokee, and go on, live your life. I'm not judging you. Anyway, I'm sharing this video to hopefully inspire you to look into your own family history. There are so many resources, and you can learn so many wonderful things, like on my father's side, going back to John. After John and his son Michael, I don't believe any of his descendants lived as slaves, which debunks the myth that all black people came from slaves in this country. Now, there are slaves in my family. I found those on other sides, but it just shows how rich the black experience is in America, how rich and varied it is. If you think we're cousins, or if you want some help looking into your family history, please don't hesitate to comment and reach out to me, and I'll do what I can to help you out.
the spirits on the yatta. I can never be afraid. I came with the energy of Shaka. You go things say you're crazy. I came as the child of my father. I give thanks and praise. When I came with the spiritual armor, make the anointing spray. First of all, make a pour before man proceed. There's a silent war up in DRC. If your poverty porn and the through to seek, the new Africa was born to fulfill the dream. Can't forget the powers that's instilled in me. I know, say there's powers that been shielding me. I told them from bad A to BBC that we the Africans who know what the children need. So fall back, we can kick it on our road. Black man stand up, we're sitting on the throne. Ruling everywhere, yeah, we're killing at the globe. And we're building back a home in a different kind of zone. I came with the spirits on the yatta. I can never be afraid.
Look at the way she looks at you with just absolute adoration.
Honor and respect, honor and respect, honor and respect. Divine all blessed greetings and salutations. It is another edition of Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. Voodoo Hoodoo 101, brought to you by, powered, produced, promoted, sponsored, and supported by NOIVD, New Orleans International Voodoo Day. May 23rd, Saturday, May 23rd, Sunday, May 24th, 2026, New Orleans International Voodoo Day promises an inspiring and immersive experience with a diverse lineup of engaging events. Highlights include an educational symposium featuring distinguished speakers from around the world, including a delegation of scholars and spiritual leaders from Benin and Haiti, as well as art exhibitions showcasing voodoo-inspired works by talented local and international artists. The event will also feature a children's program, an Afro-ecology exhibit exploring the sacred nature of plants in voodoo, their role in spiritual practices, and their connection to our ancestors. The weekend will culminate in a ceremonial procession to 9 significant sites throughout the city, locations where the enslaved were brought ashore, held, auctioned, and where they later found community and built and created culture. This journey will begin at the transatlantic slave route to New Orleans marker on the moonwalk at the river and conclude with a traditional voodoo ceremony at Congo Square. Additionally, visitors can participate in interactive workshops, community discussions, and opportunities to connect with practitioners and cultural experts throughout the year. And this multifaceted celebration offers something for everyone, creating a meaningful space to honor the past, celebrate the present, and inspire the future. Please do begin to book your arrangements and schedule to be with us on May 23rd and 24th, 2026. And we're certainly grateful for your continued support and participation in this live Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, weeknight podcast. And we're grateful for our live chat participants, Daniel Neal. Thank you so much for your consistent support and appreciation. D Goddess, greetings and salutations to you and yours, beloved. Thank you so much for joining us. And I will be unmuting my beloved co-host, Queen Mother Sister Toni Val Martinez, community activist and educator, beloved Joshua Nylan Tanner, First Priest, Black Hawk Voodoo Wildman, and my armor bearer, and beloved Elder Reggie, Green Soap, the leader and founder of Shrine of the White Cloth. And we are all indeed committed and faithful members of the administrative board and committee for the New Orleans International Voodoo Day. I want to continue on with our ongoing topic, but I like to shake it up just a little bit from week to week to make it feel, fresh and new. And this is a place where we claim to see beyond the veil between the worlds, where we explore the mysteries that live beyond the edge of every day. And I want to talk, first of all, I want to sort of redefine where we've gone in the last few months as it relates to the podcast. We've been diving into traditional New Orleans voodoo, a practice born from resilience, shaped from African, Caribbean, and Catholic influences, and kept alive by generations of practitioners. And this is not just a story of spells and spirits. It is a story of culture, history, survival, community, and indeed activism. We have delved into the arrival of the enslaved Africans to Louisiana in the 18th century and discussed the blending of West African spiritual systems, and particularly those of the Yoruba, the Fon, and the Congo peoples, with Catholicism, the amalgamation, if you will. And we've introduced the syncretism of how saints and Loa, sometimes even now Orisha, have become intertwined in our practice and our culture. Excuse me. We've mentioned the Haitian immigrants after the Haitian Revolution and their effect, if you will, on the presence of ATR, or Aboriginal African traditional religious practices here in the US, which we know voodoo arrived with the first shipment of our enslaved ancestors uh, to the region. The Haitian Revolution only created a greater sense of fear, apprehension, demonization as relates to the practices and the traditions because of the successful result of the Haitian Revolution and the Bois Cayman ceremonies which predicated it. Voodoo in New Orleans, as we have explained, is not a carbon copy of Haitian voodoo or even West African religion. It is a unique cultural tapestry woven from threads of many traditions adapted in the rhythms of this city. I sometimes like to describe myself, particularly after having done two DNA tests already, as the living, breathing epitome of Pan Africanism. My blood is comprised of at least a dozen or more ethnic groups and regions. I am 85% sub Saharan African and about 35% West African. And though Yoruba is in my DNA results, there are much stronger ethnic groups that we often associate with voodoo, like Ewe and Fon, which stand up strongly in my DNA wheelhouse. And so we all carry an archive of ancestral memory into the new world, creating this unique and independently defined ethnic group of New Africans, if you will. We have discussed the demonstration of Marie Laveau and her effect on the environment of African spirituality here in the city, as well as its subsequent amalgamation and synchronization with other practices to become the voodoo with four O's that we know, and certainly the birth mother of hoodoo, root work, and conjure. Marie Laveau was born in 1801, a free woman of color, a hairdresser, and a profound spiritual leader. And we describe her role as a healer, a herbalist, and a community figure. We have shared her power, and that it wasn't just ritual, it was in her ability to connect people, to heal, to mediate, and to command respect in a time when women of color had little public authority. And we now live in a time where uh, the heads of our government are seeking to whittle back and whittle away what sense of self dignity and self respect we've managed to gain and fight for up until this point. We've sought to explain and share the role of the spirits, whether we refer to them as Loa or Risha or spirits, and how we as independent practitioners honor them, but also how we honor them communally and collectively within our shared communities. We want to continue to open discussion on altars and offerings and the importance of ancestral veneration. For indeed, it is the powerful and mighty shoulders of great ancestors for which we now have our very being and have our standing on. And so, wherever you find the footprint of ATR or Aboriginal African traditional religious systems throughout the New World, we are indeed resting and standing on the shoulders of powerful ancestors who, as my grandmama used to say, by hook or crook, managed to maintain their traditions and lock those traditions into DNA memory, ancestral memory for generations to come. We've discussed and will continue to discuss gree bags and charms for protection and luck and healing, and continue to clarify the misconceptions about voodoo, no matter how you spell it. It is not inherently about curses or harm. It is indeed a spiritual practice rooted in balance and healing and respect and justice. Every candle lit, every offering placed, every drum beat is all a part of a conversation between the living and the spirit world. We will continue in weeks to come to explore voodoo and how it's practiced today. And not just here in the city, but as I like to say, voodoo worldwide. Certainly, it's various and diverse African, West African demonstrations, but also how we now find it in Candomblé in Brazil, and in Maria Leonza in Venezuela, and in Lukumi and Palo and various other Shango and other traditions that are practiced throughout the New World, from private family traditions to indeed public ceremonies and traditions. I have certainly sought to speak to the roles of shops and museums and walking tours in terms of the visibility of voodoo, but also certainly the challenge for maintaining the authenticity and sacredness of what many describe as a closed practice while still operating in a in what we like to consider a sort of a universal society. So, as I bring my beloved co-host in, Queen Mother Sister Toni Val Martinez, please do unmute your mic and come on in. Brother Joshua Nylan Tanner, please unmute your mic and come on in. And Elder Reggie, we know here is Green, so please unmute your mic and come on in and share your experiences tonight. What say you?
Hello.
Well, I like to go for
Go ahead,
Sister Connie.
Elder.
Yeah, I like to welcome you back, Divine Prince, and you. And one of the things that we do is prayer. And over the last week, we held you in prayer, and prayer is it's a form of communications with the other world, but it's also a healing modality. It's not necessarily what you do, but it's your intent and how you go about doing it. And since I've been walking in the ATR, that's one thing that I learned. I always set my intent, and then from the intent, try to put some tools behind it, not necessarily looking for results, but just leaving it with the spirit world once I give it out there. And that is a formality that I feel we all could use and do at this time. I just wanted to add that to begin the show.
Ashe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to say hello, everyone out there in the listening area, my wonderful panel. Welcome back, Divine Prince. You were in our prayers. And also going back to the earlier thing about the DNA. Okay, I got my DNA test, found my family, and put it aside for years. I ain't even looked at it really, except when they say you got a new relative. But one thing the members of my family have noticed, we have documented pictures of Native Americans in our family. Um, in the 60s and 70s, my sister Tina said that our mother used to get checks from some kind of Indian bureau for what reason she didn't know. But she know they came in like every 3 months, and all the children, my mama and all the kids with my mama got the check, and it must have been of some significant amount because Tina said mama be saying that all the time. She'd be glad when her bureau check come in. But in taking all our DNA tests, and none of them do it say anything about Native American. And I
It,
have yet to know anybody that took a DNA test that's black and come up with Native American in their DNA test when they also have documentation, pictures, more than just my grandma told me, but Native American don't come up in their DNA either.
yeah,
And
that's
the one thing that um, Brother Joshua, you Native American in your family, correct?
we're American Indian. Yeah,
Yeah, Native
yeah.
American. Have you taken a DNA test?
I have, I have, and it's the same way with me. Good evening, everybody. Um, um,
Good evening. Yeah.
I would say that I would say it's that way for a reason, but I'm not the one to. Well, I'm not prepared to really even speak on it. But in terms of what it is, I know it's very contradictory to the genealogical the genealogy that you study, going back, tracing your mothers, tracing your bloodlines, it does not align with what DNA has been presenting them for me specifically, and like you said, for you. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, and I think it comes from the biases that's within science. My personal opinion, the people that are in science that's studying these gene makeups or the DNA makeups, and we got to understand that initially a lot of these people like Charles Darwin approached the science in a very racist manner to prove their superiority to indigenous people.
Me personally, I think is um done intentionally
Yeah,
by not reported by the people who do the DNA test. If we are identified as Native Americans, that open us up to certain rights
yeah, a lot of rights. Yeah,
that they don't want us to have.
rights and conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I am currently trying to find somebody that is recognized by the United States government as being a Native American who took a DNA test to see what their DNA test say.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to find on social media. Um, I've been talking to some natives, but they haven't taken DNA tests.
no,
And I'm trying to get them to get somebody to take a DNA test. I want to know what they say. But I think it's purposely not added. And I think they may add to get that 100% you. I think they may add a little bit on each other race, tribe, area you come from so that you can make up that.
Yeah. But
Complete 100%.
what's interesting on mine's have changed so much. And like I remember when for the first 5 years looking at the results, I was like, I saw that it had like 1.5% of my DNA, and it was one of my oldest DNA makeup supposedly. That was Native American, and now it's completely gone. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, now it was here for 5 years, but now it's gone. I'm like, so it's very that's a very touchy subject, and a lot of people don't know is that a lot of those, like, I know that certain people and certain um you can get so far with that with the DNA, and my personal research and my personal on this journey of understanding my family and where we come from, genealogy, chasing, I mean, pulling up birth certificates, pulling up death certificates, pulling up these records, marriage records, land records, deeds, and understanding the context of the time and understanding the laws of that time, of those times, gives you a better understanding of the people and who your people were, um, more than what that the changing of the DNA and the
Yeah, I can't
interchanging of
agree with that.
percentage.
So you expect me to trust white folks who handled most of the paperwork, by the way, over science, over who the daddy is? I can't buy that. I can't buy that.
I'm not talking about who the daddy is. I'm talking about in terms of
No,
matriarchal,
DNA is talking about who the daddy is. You talking about genealogy and paperwork and documents. You talking about white folks.
I'm talking about
Indigenous people
matriarchal.
didn't operate in documents and paperwork.
Yes, they
Neither
did.
did Africans. Now, I think the
Some of the
more
first
realistic
confederacies.
approach to the subject matter is that most Aboriginal Americans just will not take a DNA test.
True.
So there's a limited pool of copies in which to compare, but there's no conspiracy.
I
Spoken.
also got a little thing
That's
on my
that's
DNA
that's
test
spoken of.
that also say 2% unknown.
Yeah, 2% unknown. There's a lot of controversy with the DNA. Anybody
How
that's
many DNA tests have
there's
you
a lot of
taken,
controversy with DNA.
Who,
Tony?
me?
Yeah.
2.
Yep.
And so it has a similar response on both tests.
Yes. From 23andMe and Ancestry. Both of them got this 2% unknown on now.
Now,
Same
And
my
I,
thing.
Ancestry.com used to have 2% unknown, but that has now been clarified to be uniquely Mexican Indigenous American. And my 23andMe has clarified, has 4% that was unknown, but it has the high probability to be North African. And many African Americans have a certain percentage of North African admixture going back to Kemet.
yeah, I just thought the 2% unknown was just alien DNA.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
always
it's
out of
that
this world.
population who is not or has not taken a DNA test. In fact, this whole conversation around, being indigenous to America versus African has had one positive effect, and more Africans on the continent are actually taking the test now. And, to find out just how much Yoruba they are, and finding out that they got a little bit of Igbo admixture or another ethnic group admixture. So they're not going to have the diversity of ethnic presences in their bloodlines as we do, uh, because of that forced mixing through the Middle Passage. And then
And
it got
and
reshuffled again from the south to the north, from the north to the south.
and
We talk about the Underground Railroad going north. but more of it went south.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
well, we can't forget. We also can't forget the fact that American Indians were the first that was enslaved here in America before the Africans arrived to this
Hmm.
mainland. So, and it was also brought to Africa and West Africa. So, in terms of the mixing has been happening intentionally from the beginning. So it's
Hmm.
like I think that what we see through this DNA is what we are made up of as a people, and due to the circumstances of slavery and due to the circumstances of living where we're living and where we're from, we have a mixture of it all. But it's I don't think it takes away. I think it adds to the conversation and it adds to our value and our worth. So I'm not saying that to say that no one that there is no that no one doesn't come from Africa, or that even the indigenous people here that was in America, they may have been here for. I mean, at one point in time, these continents was connected in some shape or form. So, as a people, and learning the history of our people and how powerful we have been throughout the years, and through history, just from the little history that they do tell us, so that we do get to uncover. There's a lot that we don't know, I feel, and that we are seeking to find um, at this time, I feel.
And one thing I find interesting on the 23andMe test, they will tell you you have a certain amount of percentage of Neanderthal.
Yeah,
And on mine is like you have 0% of Neanderthal. And I'm like, I thought, well, why is they looking for Neanderthals?
because that's what they initially was focused on. I feel like they have more information on that than that goes back to what I was saying in terms of Charles Darwin and the study of science and genes and the genetic makeup was to prove this the I forgot the title of the book the original title of the book that he came out with about genetics, but it was basically saying to prove um, the superiority of the white race over any other race. That's what was his intention, and that was his purpose with his study. So anything that you do, anything we utilize it as a tool, and I think that we have to be mindful of, like Divine Prince said, the information that we're gathering, that's being gathered. You got to understand that it's coming from a slanted or slighted point of view, but we also got to understand that in context that, especially with this country, there was confederacies before. American Indians had their own confederacies before um, the Iroquois, the I'm trying to think of the rest of them right now, but the Iroquois was one of the confederacies that was here before, and they met and they had to deal with these confederacies from the beginning when they first got here. The colonial powers that be. They fought more wars with with the confederacies, the American Indian confederacies, than they fought with anybody in this world.
Well, basically, to me, I don't care anymore. I'm sugar and spice and everything nice. That's what I'm made up of.
Yes, indeed.
It found my family. DNA did one thing for me. It found my family. But
Yeah.
you know, when they say ICE is coming to New Orleans, I say, oh Lord, I'm staying home. I don't think these ICE people from up north is ready from New Orleans because ICE has the orders to stop you because you look a certain way. If you look Mexican, they can stop you. If you look
Mhm.
Hispanic, they can stop you. without, they talking about they only going after criminals. Well, we didn't seen enough evidence that's not true.
Yeah.
We didn't seen enough evidence, and the mixture of people in New Orleans that's gonna look like they're Hispanic and be black,
Yeah.
it's gonna really mess over them. And then my last name Martinez. I ain't going outside. And they don't even ask for ID, but just in case they did, I'm gone. If y'all don't hear from me, I might be in Africa.
No,
Cause
that's
now
right.
they got,
Don't say
but
that.
no, they got all these little countries in Africa that Trump is paying to house deportees. It blew my mind when I saw how many different places I really never heard of, to tell you the truth,
Yeah.
that Trump is paying money to. It's costing more money to get rid of the immigrants than it was to keep them,
Yeah.
because it's costing them to pay millions of dollars to people to house them. So I mean, somebody needs to get them with cruel and unusual punishment, because if you take somebody who been totally raised in the United States and maybe speak two languages and send them to Africa, the culture shock, even in a prison, is cruel and unusual punishment to me. To me. But I'm
Yeah.
waiting to see how that's gonna turn out. When I was coming here, somebody said they was at Ideal early at 10:30 this morning, riding around the block, the Ideal on Broad and Canal, Ideal supermarket.
Yeah.
I mean, what they know the criminal work there, or they know the criminal gonna go make groceries there, or are they just grabbing people that's of Hispanic descent?
Yeah. Mostly Hispanics are going to those, especially Ideal.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
the Ideals is a place for to go.
Yeah. It's where the food is and where the culture is.
The groceries, and they cash their checks and they pay their bills there and everything. The older ones, I mean, I go there to get tripe and papaya and certain things. They have some good meat and vegetables, and
Great
I go up
produce.
in there.
Yeah.
So, but we living in some serious times right now, where we don't know what's going to happen day to day, because our president likes to tweet and sign executive orders at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. So, well, our time is up for tonight. I'd like to turn it over to Divine Prince to thank our listening audience, and then turn it over to Elder Reggie to close us out.
Greetings. I want to thank Joy Love Kisses for joining us on Instagram, Arius 1991. The Mind of Chris Prowler, thank you for joining us. Miss Sassy Virgo, Great Heights, Duluck Joshua, thank you for joining us. Shweta GK, thank you for joining us. The Sapphire Duchess, thank you. Sand Blazing, thank you for joining us. Rim Bald Guy, I Heart Mice, Blinky 260, BJ Amasol, West Bank 4, Curly Headed Black Girl, JWD, thank you for joining us. And we certainly do appreciate you for coming in and listening. And we invite you to join us again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on a social media platform near you.
Thanks everyone for coming out tonight, and I appreciate the audience, also the collective panel tonight. Very interesting show tonight, and a lot of information is there, and we appreciate everyone sharing. But as Divine Prince opened up with his reading and saying, voodoo still lives and alive in the New Orleans area. And this particular ritual that I'm about to announce, we can put that in the pantheon of voodoo also. It is our next new moon ritual prayer and application ceremony. It will occur on Friday, November the 21st in the sign of Scorpio. And the location is 710 Cluet, which is known as the Cluet's Garden Park. It's a ritual spiritual warfare gathering. If you're in the local area and close by and you could come out and support that event, please come out. We'll be there and doing what we do. We appreciate that. Lest we forget, the spiritual medicine of voodoo brings healing and relief from the shackles of slavery that binds the master and the slave to the same chain of social division. We continue to have work to do. We continue to be vigilant and pray. With that, I say, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Good night, everyone. We love you all, and we'll be back tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night, Odabo.
Ashe.
They called her garden a pharmacy, but no white doctor would admit she saved more lives than they did. Louisa Charles of Iberia Parish was a healer whose medicine came from the earth. She grew over 50 plants in her yard, each with a secret purpose. Sassafras roots boiled for fever, red clover for blood cleansing, and crushed pennyroyal to keep away mosquitoes that carried sickness through the bayou. Her remedies weren't superstition, they were survival. Families denied hospital care came to her cabin, and word spread that her poultices cured infections faster than the county doctor's pills. Few know this. Louisa's knowledge came from Africa, passed through whispers of root workers who hid their practices for fear of arrest. Some of her recipes were later copied into early pharmaceutical manuals, without credit. Her legacy isn't just herbs, it's proof that rural black knowledge shaped medicine in ways the archives barely admit. Follow if you're ready to uncover more buried healers and secrets of the bayou. They called her garden a pharmacy, but no white doctor would admit she
Please, allow me to show you something.
They say I'm crazy and that might be true. I got this white in my DNA, yeah, I'm coming for you. It's time we turn the tables, flip these motherfuckers on you. I wanna see you hanging from trees, it's time you pay for your dirt and your showtime. You created the monster, you created the beast. Now all this savagery you just gon' reap. I'm coming home, daddy, to the plantation, and I'm taking the lives of everybody, including the children, on some Nat Turner. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. I met my girl Harriet at the gate. If you wanna know how she doing, yeah, she straight. But she had one question: when we gon' get up? All that talking tough, yeah, we don't walk it tough. She got it locked and loaded, got that piece up on her side. She looked me in my eyes and said, "Meet you ready to ride?" Moving forward, you gotta use both eyes. Watch your front and watch your back. Keep your hands up on your gas. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. He sit at the table, but he don't order no bacon. He greet me in those words, assalamu alaikum. Got them glasses on his face and them waves in his head. He go by the name of Detroit Red. He looks me in my eye and says, "You only get one try. Know that your biggest opposition will come from the inside. I know you wanna love them all, but don't even try, because they'll smile up in your face while plotting your demise." Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. Do you hear that sound? It's about to go down. Unleash the beast, we about to tear this motherfucker down. We are the children of the